Good afternoon. The US President Joe Biden has again said he will not extend the deadline of next Tuesday for the full withdrawal of US troops from Afghanistan. Some European countries, including France, may end their evacuation operations as soon as tomorrow. Efforts are continuing to airlift 24 Irish citizens and 12 of their dependents out of the country.
Knee-deep in wastewater and rubbish, tens of thousands of Afghans fearing persecution from the Taliban are continuing to try to climb their way into Kabul's airport. But with just 6 days to go until the final pullout of US troops, few will make it through this way. In this part of the city, some are charging up to $40 for just one bottle of water, with aid agencies warning of a looming humanitarian crisis.
The sooner we can finish, the better. Each day of operations brings added risk to our troops.
Contingency plans are being made, but he said some of the risk of staying came from ISIS-K, an Islamic State affiliate.
Every day we're on the ground is another day we know that ISIS-K is seeking to target the airport and attack both U.S. and allied forces and innocent civilians.
US media reported yesterday that the director of the CIA, William Burns, flew to Kabul for a secret meeting with the Taliban's top leadership. But the New York Times said he was not there to negotiate an extension to the pullout deadline. France has said its evacuation efforts at the airport will probably end tomorrow, but Britain has vowed to work up as close to the last minute as possible.
Then what we'll do is use every remaining hour and day to get our nationals, such as we can, the Afghans who worked for us, out.
In the embassy district of Kabul, some people have been queuing for a week to get papers, but the embassies of most Western countries have already closed. Eleanor Burnhill, RTE News.
A British study has found that protection against COVID from the double-dose Pfizer-BioNTech and the AstraZeneca vaccines wanes within 6 months. The Zoe COVID study showed that after 5 to 6 months, the effectiveness of the Pfizer jab fell from 88% a month after receiving the second dose to 74%. For the AstraZeneca vaccine, effectiveness fell from 77% to 67% after 4 to 5 months. And our science correspondent, George Lee, is here in studio. George, can you talk to us about the size of this study? And does it take into account the now dominant Delta variant?
The study is done really through an app which people have on their phone, which are supplied by this company called Zoe, which is a scientific company doing all of this research, and this has been operating since March. What they did was they looked at the situation where people would have registered and explained that they would have had 2 doses of vaccines between December last year and the end of July. And then they would look at all of those people and see, well, from the end of May to the end of July, did any of them have infections? In total, they had 411,000 people who were registered who had the Pfizer vaccine, and 711,000 or thereabouts who would have had the AstraZeneca, and they had about 76,000 then who didn't have any vaccine at all in that period. So 1.2 million people. And what they found was, in terms of who got infected, they found that the real-life effectiveness of the vaccine against the new Delta variant, which was the variant from May onwards in the UK, that decreased every month. And they're saying that, as you said there in your introduction, the kind of reductions would be of the order of 14% over the period of 3 or 4 months. And according to the lead professor in this study, it could mean, in a worst-case scenario, that by maybe early winter, that for those who got the vaccine first, the very elderly and people on the front line in the healthcare service, by next winter that their protection could be down to 50%. So there's a case for boosters. Now, it's not new insofar as we were working on booster vaccines, and we know that NIAC is studying that right now, and the European Centre for Disease Control is looking at it very, very carefully, and obviously the European Commission has orders in for booster vaccines too. But it's further evidence not to be complacent about being vaccinated and being protected. You still have to mind yourself.
All right, George Lee, thank you. The country's 3 teacher unions have reiterated concerns at what they say is the state's failure to protect staff in early pregnancy from COVID-19. Last term, teachers and other school staff who were pregnant were entitled to work from home. However, that provision has been removed for the new school year. Women in the first 14 weeks of pregnancy are not currently eligible for vaccination. There are calls on the government to widen access to the Student Universal Support Scheme to students who are from migrant or refugee backgrounds. NASC, the Migrant and Refugee Rights Centre, says many are unable to attend third level because they don't qualify for financial support through the SUSI grant system.
I dream to be, I dream to have, I dream to do. My life was in limbo for a long time. Going to college is the key to unlock my dreams.
It's an aspiration many young people from migrant and refugee backgrounds hope to achieve. But entering third level for those who hold what are known as Stamp 3 and Stamp 4 permissions to be in Ireland means SUSI funding is not available to them.
The SUSI grant will really help me a great deal because this will help me achieve my dream around education, and because I really want to go to school and become a social worker in the future.
How am I going to pay like 12,000? Yeah, I can get SUSI, so it's really hard.
Those on Stamp 4 permissions can work, and they try to fund themselves by doing numerous jobs.
It's stressful because you have to go through things, you have to work extra hard to pay and save up. I had to work 2 jobs and also attend school at full time, so it's been really, really difficult for me.
For my course, I think it was like 3,000 a year. So, for asylum seekers that are not working or can't work, they can't come up with that type of money.
To me, education is a gateway to success.
A new video by NASC aims to highlight the hurdles these young people face.
They want to work in healthcare, they want to work in IT, and they're very much the areas that we need a workforce in. So it really does make sense to unlock their access to third level education and allow them to contribute.
The Department of Further and Higher Education says the eligibility criteria for student grants, including the nationality criteria, is reviewed annually. And it says Minister Simon Harris intends to engage with Cabinet colleagues in relation to the criteria. Alba Keneally, RTE News, Cork.
2 Gardaí who were murdered by the IRA in 1940 have been posthumously awarded medals for bravery. Another who was seriously wounded in the same incident was also remembered with a Scott Medal. They were among 13 members of the force to be honoured at a ceremony today, including 2 Gardaí who helped free Dublin dentist John O'Grady, who was kidnapped by the INLA in 1987.
It was a proud day for the Gardaí and their families being honoured. 13 Scott Medals for bravery were handed out for service from 1940 right up to the modern day. Marie Finlay was 2 when her Garda father, Richard Hyland, was murdered in a shootout with the IRA in 1940. She'd pushed for this recognition for him and 2 others also posthumously honoured for their role in the incident.
How are you feeling today?
Emotional, proud, and a success that it has come to pass that we will get the Scott Medal.
Brian Code retired several years ago, but in 1987 he risked his life to help secure the release of Dublin dentist John O'Grady, who'd been kidnapped by a notorious INLA gang.
You're under intense pressure and under fire all the time, and of course they could lay down fire on us where we couldn't subsequently maybe return fire because of caution for civilians around the place. I know there was a school nearby, and the teachers had to get the kids in out of the playground, so all of those things play through your mind, and you think, right, we have to survive this, or we have to try and get the guys.
Many of the medals were awarded to Gardaí who'd confronted armed gangs. One officer was honoured for disarming an armed man who was threatening to self-harm. All the recipients, the ceremony was told, had demonstrated exceptional courage. Conor McCauley, RTE News.
And that's Wednesday's lunchtime news from everyone here. Good afternoon and take care.